All right. Now that Cavelero has come and talked to you, I wanted to follow up the next day with what I call Cavelero Registration Part 2, which is my condensed version of highlights and sticking points that I've seen over the past 10 years with either questions from students or areas where there's been issues before. So I want to follow up with a presentation and, uh, and talk about some things. For example, grade point average. There's a number of kids that don't know what grade point average is. So here's just a quick overview. They're going to talk about cumulative grade point average, which is the grade point average you've started since you entered sixth grade, started getting A through F grades in middle school, through where you're at now in seventh grade. Your cumulative GPA for high school will start once you start earning high school credits. Any classes on your transcript will account for your GPA in high school, and that's the one you hear so much about in terms of college entrance. There's your current GPA. When you look on Skyward, that's the semester you're in. If I say, oh, go check how you're doing right now in grades, and you check and you see your sixth grades, that's one type of GPA, just those six grades you see. You also heard them refer to previous semester. Previous semester is always go back in time to the last official grading period grade that you got. And here at Northlake, it's semesters. So what were your grades at the end of January? They got mailed home. And then at the end of this year, this will be your previous semester for next fall. If you turn out for a fall sport and they start looking at your previous semester grades, they're going to look at second semester of this year. If you've never seen the conversion from letters to numbers, they're listed there. A is 4, A minus 3.7 on down until an F receives no points whatsoever. And what they do is they take all your classes, they convert them to the numbers, add them all up, and divide by the number of classes. In Northlake schedule, that's 6. In this case, 18.7 divided by 6 would be 3.11666. And so that's going to round to 3.12, and that would be your GPA for that grading period. They mentioned case manager. If you have an IEP, an individualized education plan, or a 504 accommodation, your case managers are listed there on the screen. 504, Mr. With is your case manager, and IEP is Schumann or Kittle. They mentioned that because some of you are going to need some assistance in choosing classes, appropriate classes for you next year, and get some advice. 504s seldom affect what course you are placed in. They can, but it's pretty rare. But IEPs definitely can have an impact on which is the most appropriate course for you. So be sure you talk about that with your case manager. Credits. They mentioned 2 types of credits yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that you understood the difference. High school credits. In terms to graduate in the state of Washington, you need 24. When you take high school courses, you're earning credits. A semester's worth half a credit, a full year's worth 1 credit for every class period you're in. College credits, you will have the opportunity to earn college credits when you get to Lake Stevens High School. What that means is you can be earning high school credit in addition to earning college credit for that class. If you pay the fee, the additional college fee, and pass the final exams, you can not only earn high school credit, but college credit. There's some advantages to that, saving money, saving time, entering college with extra credits. Some credits you've heard as units in some colleges. If you look at the bottom row there, you'll see that there's some colleges that run on quarters, Western and UW, and you go, a full load is considered 15 credits times 3 quarters in the year, give you 45 credits. Some kids are confused by why is it quarters when you only go to 3 of them. Remember that, semester is also a quarter, but many people don't go during semester. So the 4 chunks of the year, you only go to 3 of the 4 usually. Semester schools, half a year, again, not counting summer. They give you 15 credits as a full load. Times 2 classes per year, or 2 semesters per year, times 4 years is 120 credits. You can convert them back and forth by a factor of 1.5, but you can worry about that when you get to college. Challenge classes, just to clear up the idea on challenge classes. Challenge is only a middle school term. You're only going to hear about it in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Once you get to high school, that term just goes away. It just means that you're ahead 1 year. And so in the middle school realm of things, if you're a 6th grader taking challenge, you're basically doing what normal 7th graders would do. 7th grade challenge, you're doing what 8th graders would do. And 8th grade challenge, although rare, they were kind of what 9th graders would do. But 9th graders are taking high school classes, so you don't really see the term challenge on there anymore. Gifted or high cap, in terms of math and language arts, so the two areas you can qualify, you're ahead 2 years. That's only a recent thing we've been doing, and you've been identified somewhere or another with testing or scores somewhere. And that, high school courses are the ones that are in high school credits, so they go by specific titles. And the advantage of taking challenge in middle school is it gets you to high school credits faster. They talked about pathways. After you graduate high school, you're going to choose one of these pathways, but they have you start planning for it now. Whether you're going to enter the workforce, in other words, get a job, whether you're going to go to a trade school, whether you're going to go to the military, a community college, a university. And we talk a lot about, what each of those offer for you. I've got them there on the screen. You can pause the video and look at them more closely if you need to. These are just kind of general statements about each of these things. There's always exceptions to all of these things, and they're not always the rule by any means, but it just kind of gives you a rough idea. Cost, besides being able to just write checks or pay cash for college, which is not a very common thing. If you worry about the big numbers they showed you yesterday in terms of cost, there's ways to remediate that or, help pay for it. Scholarships, financial aid. Most people do student loans that you're going to pay back over time once you graduate. And there's a reason that these different levels of things exist, because there is a correlation between educated people, a functional society, and decent incomes. They're all correlated, and we want everybody to have opportunities in this country. Advanced science, challenge science, whatever you want to call it. The important things you need to know about it. You need to be getting a B or better if you're going to take it. You need to be ahead at least 1 year in math. So you're taking pre-algebra or algebra this year. You shouldn't be a behavior issue, because what this class is, challenge science or advanced science, is they're doing things twice as fast. They're not doing more difficult work. They're doing all of 8th grade the first semester. They're doing all of 9th grade the second semester. And in order to make the timeline, it's going to involve homework. There's no wasted time. You need to be able to keep up. So if homework takes you more than it does the typical student, you might want to steer clear of this one and just stay on the typical path. The advantages of going in this class primarily are you're getting physical science, which is normally your freshman year science, taken care of. And then your freshman year, you can enter into the biology realm and then, get to more science options later on. Other challenge courses you'll hear about: challenge language arts. You need to be or better in your current class, and a teacher's signature. You do not have to take previous challenge courses to take 8th grade challenge. You can opt in. Math, on the other hand, the moment the ship left the dock in 6th grade, you're pretty much on one of the three paths you see chosen. If for some reason, things change, and your performance considerably drops or considerably goes up, there are ways to change paths, but they're rare. You're typically either going to be the 6th, 7th pre-algebra, algebra on through high school, or 1 year ahead, the challenge 6 pre-algebra path, or the high cap gifted path, which is pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, and on. And those are the appropriate courses you're going to want to choose in math. So going through each, checking your schedule on Skyward. If you open it up and look, make sure in language arts your choices are at grade level language arts 8.1 and 8.2, or challenge language arts. Make sure you get first and second semester and you get that signature. If you do have an IEP and some are 504s, make sure you see your case manager. They do offer resource room and team taught versions of language arts that might be most appropriate for you. And again, your case manager will help you make that decision. Science, one of two choices. You're either taking grade level, so 8.1 and 8.2, both semesters, or advanced or challenge science 8.1 and 8.2, in which prerequisites we talked about: B, a year ahead in math, my signature. Looking at math, if you're on grade level, you're going to do math 8.1 and 8.2, which is technically what we call pre-algebra. If you're a year ahead, what you would think of maybe of it being challenge 8 math is really algebra. It's now a high school course. You can opt for the credit. later on. You don't have to declare it next year, but later on in high school, you might want to, if you get a good grade, add that to your high school transcript. If you're a high cap gifted pathway, you're taking geometry now, so you get to jump to, algebra, and you get to jump to geometry. Make sure you've got both semesters of geometry. You can add 2 credits to your high school class, both algebra and geometry later on. Or if you have, again, IEP and some 504, so your case manager for an appropriate math class, because they offer team taught and resource room. Courses, make sure that you have 6 credits worth of courses. That's a full load. And that you've picked at least 2 alternate electives. Every 8th grader will need the courses here on the list. You will all have a Washington State history, all U.S. history. You'll all have a PE and all a health. So even those are semester courses, which make up 2 full periods of the year. Your other 4 periods could vary based on the language arts, the science, the math, and the electives you choose. Electives. You need to pick 2 for sure. And then you also need to pick at least 2 additional, unless you're in a unique situation, which I'll get to when I talk about leadership in Spanish. When you look at the semester elective courses, you'll know that many don't have a matching pair. For example, you don't have Art 1 and Art 2. You just have Art because it's 1 semester only. You don't know which semester you're going to take it, but you put it down there. Tech the same way. Manufacturing tech, flight and space, robotics. All these courses are semester-long courses. So you have to pick 2 of them to make up a full year. Now, exceptions to that, music program courses are a full year. You're going to take first and second semester of those, as you will with leadership. Leadership is a full year, leadership 1 and 2. Spanish, same way, 1 and 2. If you decide that leadership is something you want to do, it must be your first requested course. What they're going to do is look across everybody's first choices and find the leadership kids. They're going to look through the applications. Yes, applications. You have to fill out an application and recommendation forms, which you get from your science teachers. In my class, they're right in the room up front, and get those filled in on time. They are due Thursday when the counselors return. If they're late, you will not be considered for leadership. So it's your first pick. You get everything taken care of and turned in. Then you make your alternates. Now, if you're interested in leadership first, Spanish second, because Spanish is also a filtered kind of draft class based on GPA. Not everybody gets in that wants it. You need to pick 2 more alternates. Okay, so if your priority is leadership first, Spanish second, you better also pick 2 more semester alternatives, because there is a slim chance that you don't make leadership, you don't make Spanish. You don't want the counselor randomly picking the electives that are left. You want a good choice of electives. We don't want you to be punished for trying to get into difficult to get into classes. We want to encourage that, not punish it. Okay? And just remember, you are building a resume for life. This sounds intimidating, and maybe it should be a little bit. But you're going to make it through a pathway one way or another. One of the things I've talked about all year is your class is in this newer generation. You'll see other ways besides GPA to build your resume, clubs, athletics, that sort of thing. But you'll notice I've bolded social media. It is a common practice now to have companies scour social media posts as both college and job admission or interview processes. So they're getting to know you. So what that means is if you're doing good things and you are of age to have social media, you've got these accounts, publish the good things you're doing. Post all of this. This paints a picture of who you are. Yet, if you are someone who makes spontaneous poor choices, you better keep that a secret, because once it goes online, it never goes away. And you don't want this being used against you later on in life. So that's the best advice I can give you, both as a teacher, as someone who's been through this registration process with kids for years, as well as having a child who's been through this as well. If you have any questions, contact me. We can register here in class anytime. I can help you do that and make sure things are taken care of. Reminder, if you watch this Thursday the 16th, tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Cavelero Mid-High, they have parent night to review all of this with parents. So hopefully that helps, and good luck.